Good morning from the heart of New York City. This is Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast dedicated to wanting to learn and apply to eat better daily. I'm your host, Angela Shurina from Create Yourself That Today, your personal nutritionist, your personal health and wellness coach, your personal fat loss guru, and just someone with a lot of passion for healthy food, healthy eating, what you put on your plate that has the power to influence every aspect of your mental and physical performance, that influences how you look, how you feel, how you do anything in life, really. All about our delicious foods. Today's episode is dedicated to one book that I just started reading. I didn't mean to get deep into it on the podcast, but I started reading it. The things I'm learning are fascinating. A lot of things I kind of knew about, but they put in such an interesting and fascinating and entertaining form that I could not share with you guys. The book is Lies My Doctor Told Me, Medical Myths That Can Harm Your Health. The book is written by Ken Berry, MD. The link to the book is going to be in the show notes, of course. And today we will take 3 facts, or not actually facts, but lies from the book that you might still believe. A lot of people I work with actually believe to some extent in those things still. And a lot of people who I don't work with and who listen to doctors, who listen to messages in the media all the time, still believe those things. Those people practice those things, and those things actually can kill us and are killing people and have been killing people. So that's why it's so important to know them, to understand them, and update our knowledge about healthy eating, healthy food, healthy living. So let's just dig right into it. So the first thing is about fat. Fat makes you fat. You might have thought that, you might still think that, but did you know that there is no actual proof that eating more fat makes you fat? Like, there has never been actual studies designed to prove or disprove that theory. The closest one was its observational study, meaning the scientist, and his name is Ancel Keys. You might have heard that name if you read recent books about how healthy fat is, how good eating good fats is for you. So anyway, the guy's name is Ancel Keys, and he published a study in 1978 that was sponsored by US government actually, and he went to different countries, 22 countries actually, to figure out the cause of heart disease. And he didn't exactly either find what he was looking for, or he found what he didn't want to find. And so he just cherry-picked 7 countries, even though he observed 22, and made the conclusion and published it, the conclusion that suited his initial theory, and something that he could report back to kind of tell or justify why all this money was spent and what they came up with. So anyway, long story short, the thing that they published was all about how saturated fat, or eating any amount of fat in larger amounts and being on anything but low-fat diet causes heart disease and all kinds of degenerative diseases and conditions that eventually cause death or can cause death. But again, so this is the closest thing that was to a study. Was done in was published in 1978, and after that, fat was demonized, and people were told to eat low-fat diet to improve their heart health. But there were no actual studies. That one that was published was based on skewed data, and it has nothing to do with reality. So, meaning, guys, fat makes you fat may sound good and logical, but it's not good and it's not logical. If you ask, for example, a farmer, what do they do to fatten up their cows, for example, if they want to grow them faster, to make them fatter, to produce them meat? And what do? What the cows industry does these days? They feed them a combination of grain and corn and what's not, right? Antibiotics and hormones, but that's another story. So grains, starch, corn, that's what they feed animals to fatten them up. And guess what makes people fat these days? Again, grains, sugars, starch. Another fact, when they make foie gras or fatty liver of a duck, force feeding it, they don't feed it fat, they feed it starch, corn mostly. And if you tell a farmer or someone who does that, fatty liver, foie gras, that is considered to be a delicacy, to feed them, if you tell them to feed them fat, to fatten them up, they will laugh at your face. But we people think we are so different, and eating fat is unhealthy for us, whereas eating sugar and healthy, quote unquote, grains is amazing. But people were eating grains and starch and carbohydrates all this time, and it leads to more and more obesity, more and more problems with metabolism, like non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, kind of like fatty duck liver disease in humans. Anyway, fat makes you fat may sound good again, but it has nothing to do with truth, and there was not a single study that proved it ever. So eat your fats, eat your yolks, eat your butter, all of good quality, of course, grass-fed or pasture-raised with no antibiotics and hormones. Another related to that lie or truth or myth, depending on how you look at it, is cholesterol causes heart disease, or cholesterol is bad for our arteries. All that stuff is also based on nothing but the same study by Ansel Keys, that was observational study and where the data was skewed. And consider this, our cells use fat and especially a lot of cholesterol to communicate between themselves. Every single cell has a membrane, basically outside layer that contains all the insides of the cells, and for that membrane to be healthy, to help to communicate with other cells, it is essential for our health, like it matters more than anything. That membrane contains at least one third of stuff is made of cholesterol. So the body makes cholesterol because the body makes new cells on a daily basis, non-stop. The body makes a lot of cholesterol by itself. So how do you think the stuff that our body does a lot, needs a lot, that is super essential for health, how is that unhealthy? And actually, there were some studies and tests and observations. And for example, in older people, the more cholesterol they had in their blood, the less problems with memory, with cognition, with cognitive declines that they had, the better health they had, the more energy they had, the more cholesterol they had in their blood, not less cholesterol. And the more yolks, the more natural grass-fed beef and butter, the more natural human diet without all that low-fat bullshit they eat, the better their health, their mental and physical performance. So eat your cholesterol, eat your yolks, and even now, these days, there is no dietary guideline that says that you should be eating less or basically even thinking about reducing the amount of cholesterol you eat. So if you're still trying to avoid egg yolks, then stop doing that, because it's actually dangerous for your health to not have enough cholesterol in your diet, especially from healthy sources, again, like pasteurized eggs or grass-fed beef or grass-fed butter and other animal products. And the third thing that we want to talk about today is milk. Milk is not something you should be consuming. The government in this country, food industry, promotes milk heavily as a healthy drink, as something we need for calcium, but they don't tell you that by all observations, countries that consume the most milk have the weakest bones, have the most conditions and diseases related to bones fractures and weaker bones. In countries, for example, like Japan, where they didn't consume a lot of milk, people actually have stronger bones and live the longest compared to US, where there are a lot of things like osteoporosis and all kinds of conditions related to weakening of bones and worse bone density. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is drinking milk for calcium and for strong bones and for any kind of health purposes has nothing to do with reality, has nothing to do with any studies that were made. Calcium in milk comes with sugars and proteins that are actually really poorly absorbed by the body and cause inflammation and allergic reactions. So lactose and all the proteins in milk not great for our body. Also, calcium is not bioavailable as calcium in, let's say, sesame seeds. So only 1/3 of calcium in milk is usually absorbed by the body compared to things like sesame seeds or spinach, where calcium is fully absorbed by the body. And just to give you an idea, 100 grams of milk, for example, has only 113 milligram of calcium compared to, let's say, 100 grams of sesame seeds that have 975 milligrams. So 975 for sesame seeds and 113 for milk. So eat your sesame seeds, guys, or make sesame seeds milk for calcium, and start drinking cow's milk, because it is not healthy. No other animal consumes milk of other species of their own species after the initial period where of lactation while after being born, right? So, and again, there have never been any studies, anything confirming that drinking milk is somehow associated with more health, stronger bones, or anything like that. It actually causes, again, more allergic reactions. Milk causes. So, to recap, guys, 3 things that we talked about today. Eating fat does not make us fat. In fact, fat is essential for our health, and in fact, especially cholesterol is healthy fat that we get from natural foods from whole foods, like eggs, like grass-fed butter, like grass-fed beef. Our cells need cholesterol. Our body makes a lot of cholesterol, and again, eating fat never caused any weight gain. It never showed in any studies that eating fat makes us fat. And in fact, when farmers want to fatten up animals, cows, and make, for example, foie fatty liver, by force feeding ducks, they feed them grains, they feed them starch, they feed them corn. Nobody feeding them fat. And another thing, stop drinking milk. It causes allergic reaction and increases inflammation. The more milk we drink, the weaker bones we have. Milk is a poor source of calcium. Most of it, not most of it, but at least 1/3 of it is not even bioavailable, meaning your body cannot even digest it and absorb it. So, what do you want to do after this episode? Start eating whole foods, eating your yolks, eating your whole, full fat meats and other animal products. What do you want to do else? Instead of milk, you want to eat your sesame seeds, or you can even make your own milk from sesame seeds. I'm going to post a link to the recipe in the show notes too. And thank you for listening, guys. Tomorrow we're gonna finish off the book. Do your research. Don't believe everything you hear, because a lot of people, a lot of doctors do not have to educate and re-educate themselves. So guys, take care of your health by taking care of what's on your plate and why it's there. So again, thank you for listening. Have an awesome Sunday. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And eat better daily.